So basically, I would say if Wes Craven is going to go back to the horror genre, I think he should come up with something totally original. I really like what he did with Scream 4, but you know, he does produce a lot of his own remakes and even write some of them. I mean, you know, the thing about Last House on the Left, even the original, it's actually a remake of a film called Virgin Spring from the 60s. So I know that he's been involved in a lot of remakes and, you know, so on, even in his own films. But I would like to see him come up with something totally original for his next film. I know he's taking a little break from horror, but for him coming back, I would like to see something totally original. I don't want to see Scream 5 and have the series kind of lose its, you know, touch, basically. You know, you can only have a flame burn so high until it, like, turns into smoke, basically.
Yeah, and the other thing is I don't want to see Scream become like the Saw films. I mean, while I do really like the Saw films, I do admit they did pretty much paint themselves into a corner for, you know, doing the same pretty much thing over and over again. And I think Scream really pushed the boundaries by, you know, changing that up by basically saying, look, you know, this series is a character series. The characters are the driven point of the series, not the killer. The killer, you know, does chase the killer. Characters, you know, and some do live, some do die. But, you know, they didn't kill off Sydney, they didn't kill off Gail, they didn't kill off Dewey. And I'm perfectly happy with that. The fact that those three individuals lived through 4 films, you know, is really still amazing to me because, you know, in either any of those films, you know, any of those characters could have died. I mean, Scream 2, I know both in 1 and 2 it's scripted that, you know, Dewey died in 1, and then basically test audience liked his character, so they filmed that he lived. And then with number 2, they thought that it was a little bit too dark for them to kill off Randy and Dewey, when really I thought it was, you know, still pretty dark for just killing off Randy alone. But I think, you know, the emotional impact of Dewey dying when Ghostface stabbed him back, you know, does hit pretty hard. And I like the fact that, you know, he is alive at the end of the second one, and he is, you know, he made it through the series. So
yeah, and I don't want to see the series become like what they were making fun of in Scream 4 with all the sequels. You know what I mean? Like, well, here's Stab 5. You know, there's a point where you got to stop.
Yeah. Oh, Scream 6 and 5 is gonna have time travel.
Yeah. You know what I mean? There's a point where you gotta stop and you gotta think up another original idea, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, Wes Craven, he's at the top of his game right now. All 4 films are classics in certain people's eyes, you know, depending on who's watching them. But we can all admit that we enjoy the Ghostface character. And we like, you know, all the characters he's created. I mean, he has Shocker, Ghostface, Freddy. I mean, he's a great director. I think he can come up with something totally original for his next film.
A quick question for you, Danny, and I'll tell you mine as well. Who is your favorite Ghostface killers? You know, if you were allowed, you know, out of all the killers in the 4 films, who would your favorite be?
Definitely,
you know,
definitely the Ghostface killers in Scream 1, because you didn't expect those 2 to be the killers, you know, and it was a total surprise to everybody. Actually, I mean, did you expect them to be the killers?
At one point I thought Billy was the killer, and then it threw me for a loop when he freaking, you know, got stabbed. I was like, what?
It's probably the best reveal you know, for a killer in any Wes Craven movie, because it's the most unexpected thing that you could possibly come up with, is that there's not one killer, there's two killers, because you either think it's the audience isn't expecting it to be two people.
Yeah, I would probably say mine would actually be the killers from the first film.
Mm-hmm.
I would actually say the killer. Well, there were two killers. I would say the one from the second film, the mother of Billy Loomis, was probably the best out of the killers in the second one. And I would probably even say if I was going to put them in order, it'd be Billy's mother, Stu, and Sidney's brother would be my top 4 favorite killers.
Yeah. Well, I just want to thank you so much for being on the show, spiderjackangel. And this is Epic Horror Fans. It's AJ Punk 15, spiderjackangel.
Yep.
JT is Reborn, Sexy Danny 21 Awesome. And we're Epic Horror Fans, and this is our show. So we talk about different topics and discuss different horror directors and horror films.
Yep.
And we're going to be talking a lot more about horror films in the future. And check out our Silent Hill review.